I have created the ultimate PlayStation multiplayer LAN recording portable flight case. This thing has got a PlayStation 5, a PlayStation 4 Slim, a microphone preamp, a compressor. It's got a security cover for said compressor and preamp. It has got a Blackmagic video switcher that records all the inputs. It has HDMI duplicators. It's got everything you can think of, and you can bring it on the go, but it has a small problem. Hi, my name is Matt, and welcome to my channel, and let us take a look at this absolutely stupid thing that I've decided to make. So as many stupid projects go, it comes with a singular idea. And that idea for me was that I wanted to take my recording setup and find a way to make it portable. Just being able to grab my video mixer and the PlayStation and, my mic setup and just being able to pick it up and go, whether it be to leave it here at home, or if I decided to go on a trip somewhere and just have it in the hotel room, or, have it, bring it anywhere with me. I just wanted to find a way to make primarily the Blackmagic A10 Mini Extreme ISO a little bit more portable, because no matter what you do with it, because it's got so many HDMI connections, it just becomes not portable. So what eventually turned out is that I decided to get a Multi-Comp Pro stackable 17-inch depth 6-unit flight case. And I chose that because I believed at the time that it would fit everything that I wanted perfectly. So again, let's break this down and see what we all have in here. So at the very top, we have by Pure Theater, a small little company in the UK. It is a PlayStation 5 Slim digital edition, and they have created a 10-inch deep, 19-inch wide, 2-unit tall shelf that you can just, if you have an AV rack setup, home theater kind of setup at your house, you can get a little shelf here from them and slide your PlayStation 5 Slim digital edition in that 2-unit rack. They also have other shelves for the standard PlayStation 5 with and without the disk drive. They also have a 3-unit tall unit for the PlayStation 5 Pro, and it is a solid aluminum or very nice sturdy metal shelf that really is not going to bend or is incredibly durable. The one thing that I noticed was a little bit of a downside about this is that there was a little bit of a loose tolerance on the front, so the PlayStation 5 could kind of slide, or there's a little bit of movement to slide in and out of the front a little bit with the PlayStation 5. And the mounting options in the back was a simple single thumb thread kind of nut that has these flimsy little brackets that when you're hand tightening it, it does not have enough torque to really keep these little brackets from sliding around. And the hole that they're in, they're these like inch long holes that these brackets can slide within. So I had to do a little bit of modifying and actually drill some holes in the exact position that I want that to sit in, and then reinforced it with Velcro so those little brackets did not slide around. Especially because since this is a portable rig, it's going to be horizontal, it might be upside down. I didn't want these brackets to just slide out of place, and then we have a PlayStation 5 that is now on the loose inside a 6-unit flight case. That wouldn't be all that great. So that's how I was able to get around the mounting options. The next part here is, this is one of the nice things about the flight case, is that it has rather deep lids. So with the screw brackets that you screw your rackable equipment into, it's only about 1 centimeter deep in from the edge of where the lid will connect. So there isn't a whole lot of room. Normally, there wouldn't be a whole lot of room for things to stick out, but thankfully with these deep lids, you can actually have some of these pieces of the equipment really stick out far. And again, the Pure Theater PlayStation 5 Slim Digital Edition rack you know, the PlayStation 5 is going to stick out about 2 inches, so having this deep kind of lid was nice for that. So then I decided it'd be quite nice to have a security cover for the DBX286S microphone preamp and the DBX266XS microphone compressor. The reason why I chose that is, first of all, the preamp and compressor combo from DBX. It's just awesome because instead of having to worry about post-processing in any way, shape, or form, I can just, you know, plug and play, leave the knobs and the settings as is, plug everything in, hit record, and we're done. And the audio is exactly where I want it. And the reason why I decided to have this 2-unit tall security cover is it actually works quite well, where it's actually able to sit on top of and sit over the knobs on the preamp and the compressor. So then in transit, if a knob gets bumped or something, they're unfortunately really easy to break off. And even still, you can probably just accidentally bump it and then move the settings, and then all of a sudden everything sounds wonky because you forgot to move the high pass filter, or the expander gate or something like that. So having this security cover both works well to keep the settings where everything is at, and is able to prevent any breakage of these knobs falling off, which is quite nice. The security cover, I believe, was from NavPoint. I think I actually ordered it from Sweetwater. Don't quote me on that one. But it is quite nice because even though it does stick out about 1.5 inches, it comes with 2 sets of keys. They're not anything special, but if anything else, it works really well. It's like a dust cover, just making sure that no dust or any garbage or anything is really going to potentially damage your equipment. So I really like having it there. The next slot on the front side, this is actually quite fun. It is actually a PlayStation 4 Slim on a shelf. Now, the thing that I love so much is the designers at Sony, when they created the PlayStation 4 Slim, somebody must have had some sort of experience working in an AV department of some flavor, because I have made the realization that the PlayStation 4 Slim is perfect. It fits beautifully in a 1-unit slot. The PlayStation 4 Pro, or the standard PlayStation 4, is going to be a little bit too tall, but the PlayStation 4 Slim on a shelf is nice and snug. So in this situation, so it didn't slide around in any way, shape, or form. I actually put duct tape on the bottom of the PlayStation and on the top of it, so it would stick to the shelf, and then the top of the PlayStation would stick to the bottom of the microphone compressor. And it is sturdy. I'm quite surprised, actually, that it's not moving in any way, shape, or form, and it just snugly fits, and it's just perfect. And then finally, in the last bottom unit of the front side of the case, we have the brains of the unit, the Blackmagic design A10 Mini Extreme ISO. So the thing about this is I've got this set up where on the back, there are HDMI connectors for all the HDMI inputs. There is going to be 2 XLR inputs for the mic ins on the A10 Mini Extreme ISO. And then I've also got the PlayStations hooked up to HDMI duplicators that are able to both go into the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO and have their own separate outputs, where you can just play the PlayStations as is. The ATEM Mini Extreme ISO does not need to be on in any way, shape, or form, so it can save energy. It just doesn't need to be on, save some wear and tear if you're just looking at playing the PlayStations. But if you're deciding that you're in kind of like a multiplayer group and you wanted to record this for potentially like a multiplayer gameplay, let's play gameplay session of some flavor, you can just quickly turn on the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, hit the record button, and nothing else has to change. Of course, if you're not running the microphone preamps and the compressors and that kind of stuff, you'd also need to flip those on as well. It's literally just as easy as flipping the switch on the back of the unit where the power strip is, particularly the StarTech.com 8-unit horizontal rack mount PDU 1-unit power strip. And this is great because it's got a little private, I'm not going to say privacy covers, but it's got covers to go over the switches. So in case, for instance, you are just, setting things up and you just happen to accidentally slide your hand down the back of the unit and then turn something off in the middle of a session of you're just reorientating something, and then turn off, for instance, the Blackmagic A10 Mini Extreme ISO in the middle of recording, well, that's a problem. But having these little covers going over the switches that both kind of like lock and then you can leave them unlocked is both really nice because, again, it prevents those kind of mistakes from happening. So there's a couple of little miscellaneous devices that are floating around the back of the unit that I've actually was able to use duct tape and was able to use some twist ties to really secure down. One being is that, so there's an Ethernet input and an Ethernet output on the back of the unit. So if you're at home, you can just plug in a single cable and it'll provide internet to both the PlayStation 5 Slim Digital Edition and the PlayStation 4 Slim. And that is through the TP-Link TLSG105 5-port gigabit unmanaged Ethernet switch. And it runs off of just a single outlet that you can just permanently leave on. So when you plug in the unit into just whatever outlet, whether it be at a hotel or be at home, whatnot, immediately turns on the Ethernet switch, and then you plug in your Ethernet cable. And instead of having to worry about potentially some weird frequencies not getting through the case because it is a rack case with very limited range per se, or limited, just you can't get signal through it. Having the Ethernet switch in there is really nice. Just a single cable and provides Ethernet internet to both units, both PlayStations, should I say. And this I actually have two of running in the back of the unit. It is the Ori HDMI splitter 1 in 2 out, 1080p at 60 hertz or 4K at 30. It is, again, the HDMI duplicators. So again, like I was saying before, if you don't want to have the HDMI, if you don't want to have the Blackmagic Design ATEM Mini Extreme ISO running, and you just want to play games off of the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, they're dedicated HDMI outs that you just plug your TV or monitor into, and then when you decide that you want to do a recording session, just turn on the Blackmagic and then you hit record and it's already running. So that's really nice. The one thing that I will change maybe for a future iteration of this is getting a 4K version of the HDMI duplicator, or rather HDMI splitter, for the PlayStation 5. Just because, again, sometimes you may want that 4K output. Yes, the Blackmagic will not be able to record the full 4K output. It'll record a downscaled 1080p version, but I digress. Having that option, that opportunity to use that in 4K, at least for the output for gaming, would be preferred. So we've reached that point of the video. That is the entirety of the 6-unit flight case that has 2 PlayStations and a Blackmagic Design video mixer in. Perfect for maybe a LAN gaming session that you want to be able to record. You've got your microphone preamps to plug your mics into. But there's a small problem that I've encountered with this.
It's like 90 pounds! Ugh.
So yeah, I didn't quite think about that when I first got it. And I was just, I started plugging in everything together. I started, tying down the cables and getting everything to work out perfectly. And then it's like 90 pounds. So portable isn't quite the right word for this. Not only that, I had noticed as well that with the PlayStation 4 Slim on top of the Blackmagic Design A10 Mini Extreme ISO, you really can't access the Blackmagic at all, which is kind of a problem because it's got like 120 buttons on the top of it, and really only the first row or 2 buttons are really accessible. So you're not able to turn on the mic really easily, you're not able to hit the record button easily, your macros are kind of out of there, doing the DVE buttons and that kind of stuff is just out of the question. So not ideal. Furthermore, some additional problems are, because it didn't have the correct cable lengths, it kind of became a rat's nest behind the Blackmagic when you have at minimum 10 HDMI cables running from the back panel to the unit. Not great. And that makes, for this next part, even worse, heat management. I found it interesting that the Blackmagic actually has tendency to run a little hotter than I was expecting, just in general. But when it's in a case that has very little ventilation and all of the heat is supposed to go out the back, there is a PlayStation directly on top of it that it also is going to be expanding heat, and there's just a rat's nest of cables in the way. And yes, I do have a 3-unit panel above it that is able to expel the heat, and then another little 1-unit panel below the power strip. But again, when you also have the PlayStation 5 running in there as well, it gets hot. It really does. So, that being said, is this the ultimate final version? No. What I'm going to do actually is take this apart and kind of work towards a version 2 of this item. I've got kind of 2 thought processes. One being is upgrading to an 8-unit, so then I can have an extra space where I can actually, I don't know, being able to access the Blackmagic A10 Mini Extreme ISO is kind of important, but maybe even add another microphone preamp. I actually kind of want to add a third PlayStation, another PS4 Slim, just because I think it would be kind of fun to have a massive amount of PlayStations in a very portable rack. And then in this 8-unit rack, it would have like a telescopic handle and it would have wheels, so I'd be able to just kind of drag it along instead of, you know, trying to carry this monster. But I think what I'm actually going to do is break this unit up into 2, order 2 4-unit flight cases, and put all 3 of the PlayStations in one with the HDMI duplicators in it. And then in the other one, just have the microphone preamp, microphone compressor, and then the Blackmagic. Because that way, I can just worry about doing the PlayStations and worrying about that separately, not really having to... The problem that I had is when I was setting this up, it probably spent about 2 hours just troubleshooting, because there would be like a cable that went loose and I had to go digging there, and then I figured out that the microphone preamp, the compressor, didn't have its inputs and outputs lined up correctly. I just had to, you know, get in there and swap a couple of cables out. But through this whole troubleshooting process, because I didn't have any space above the Blackmagic, it was incredibly difficult to get to the cables behind it and then get around it. There's just no space to work. So the only way that I was able to get this to work is I had to take the PlayStation 4 Slim out, and then that way it gave me enough vertical space where I could actually start really plugging and playing a lot of the stuff with the Blackmagic, and then being able to access the compressor and the preamp. So that being said, there is something to be said about having the ultimate recording rig, where you just have absolutely everything you can imagine just shoved in sideways. I wouldn't recommend it though, because at that point there's heat that's going to be a problem, and then there's accessibility is going to be a problem. So to wind down a rambly video, as is to kind of wrap things up here, it was a very fun experiment. It really was, because now it's gotten me thinking about how I could do this a little bit better, figuring out what should be portable, what should be designed in one rack versus another. And then that way too, instead of having, you know, thousands of dollars in a single rack, if I want to do just a single PlayStation LAN session that I know I don't want to record or anything, I can just take that with. But if I do want to record it, then I have a separate rack or separate flight case that I can bring with. And because they're both 4 units, they're actually going to be quite portable, and they both stack. So I think that's just going to be the better option for this. And that being said, I'll gain 2 extra units. Again, one will be greatly useful for just accessibility above the Blackmagic, and then the other one, of course, for another PlayStation, because why not? With all that being said and done, I think that's going to be a wrap on that video there. Again, thank you so much for watching. Down in the comment section down below, tell me about some of your guys' favorite AV rack builds that you've made, whether it be for home lab or maybe be for a AV kind of situation. Tell me about the ones that didn't work, because on YouTube we're only seeing these videos about, look at this amazing rack that I made and it's just like beautiful and it's ultimate and it's everything you could ever ask for, but we didn't see the 5 iterations coming up towards it of, well, I did that and that didn't work, and I did that and that didn't work, and then it led me to here, and then I found this, and then that's how he's able to make this all work. I don't know, having that progression of trying things and then finding what works and what doesn't work, I always think is really fun. So again, tell me down again in the comment section below some of the racks that you've built, and if it's worked, if it hasn't worked, just opening those discussions. I'd really like to hear all about that. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day today. Take care. Bye.